Hey everybody, this is a Scotsman at Alabama Pipe Welders Academy. So the Miller rep, he came by about a month ago and drops us off at our doorstep, says here, enjoy. So we're gonna make a video with this bad boy. It's the Miller Big Blue 400 PipePro with arc reach. And he said, just free of charge. It's been here for a couple months now and we've really enjoyed it. It's been a nice treat to have. So we're gonna show you some magic with it. So let me introduce Scotty Jones. He used to be a welder for SWAT, which is specialty welding and turnaround service. He's one of their original G40 welders. He'd sit at the house and get 40 hours a week guaranteed no matter what. But when they called, he was on a plane going to make the next specialty weld. So he's one of the best out there. He's a great guy. He's a good teacher, and he's one of our instructors, so we're happy to have him, and he's going to show us some different techniques on cap passes. All right, so we're going to get into this first method. We call it the pushback method, and you'll see why when you see the arc shots. But he's going to set this machine at 145 amps. He's going to be using 332, 316 stainless filler wire. So he's about to fire up on this pipe, and you'll see in just a second why we call it the pushback method. So he's going to add wire, push back, add wire, push back, add wire, push back, add wire, push back. And he'll have an explanation at the end of this method in his own words exactly how he does it. So just stay tuned. One of the things I want to point out about Scotty's gloves is that they're a thicker model glove, and that's for heat resistance when you're trying to freehand this cap. You don't want to have the thin TIG gloves on because your hands are going to burn up.
Alright, so I'm trying to keep my tungsten square with the pipe. And I'm backing back and forth in the puddle, and every time I back, I push to it. That way it's stacking that kind of motion. You do the same thing on the horizontal. Just straight back at an angle.
When you go back, you're pushing wire?
When I go back, I'll bump to the wire, push a little bit, and back up. Bump, push, bump, push, bump, push, bump, push.
Yeah, moving right along to method 2. This one's called the circular method. Basically, he's just going to be manipulating that puddle in a circular motion. He did turn the amps up, turned it up from 145 to about 150. And Scotty, I can't say enough good things about him. Double time company man that they paid him weeks at a time to sit at the house just to not to go hire on with somebody else, and it gives you young welders something to look forward to. If you take pipe welding serious, there's a good future for you. You could make a lot of money. Talking about money, it reminds me of that story of old Stan and Bert. They were shipwrecked on a deserted island, and Stan, and he was crying, "We're gonna die. There's no food, no water. We're gonna die." And old Bert, he was sitting over there all relaxed, and Stan, it tore him up. He said, "You fool, we're gonna die, we're gonna die." And Bert told him, he said, "You don't understand, man. I make $100,000 a week." And old Stan, he looked at him and said, "What difference does that make? We're out here stranded on an island, and we're gonna die." And Bert, he looked at him again and said, "No, you don't get it, man. I make $100,000 a week, and I give 10% of that to my church. And I know my pastor is going to come out here and find me." But all joking aside, a lot of people feel that churches are only interested in money. In some cases, that might be true. But overwhelmingly, churches genuinely try to help find people who are lost and give them a sense of hope. And, God doesn't have any religion. And I hope, though, that everybody here has a place of worship that they can call home, and that you're seeking out truth for yourself and enlightenment for yourself. If you'll just seek it, you will find what you're looking for. I hope you're encouraged by these words, and just stay tuned for the other 2 methods, and we'll be moving right along.
Wide circular motions, and every time I get around that wire, I push to it. And all I do is watch that bottom line to keep it centered that other bead. All the way up, push, push, push. I will never point my tungsten forward, either square or maybe a little back, about 3 to 5 degrees. Just keep pushing, keep pushing.
All right, moving right along to method number 3. This is the drag method. and you'll figure out real quick why it's a drag method. There's not much manipulation of the puddle. You're just dragging it straight forward. He did turn it up about 10 amps for this method because there's no manipulation and you need the puddle to be just a little bit hotter for this. And you can see how fast he's moving. Some of this is in double time though, so it's sped up a little bit. But take a look and we'll have a good explanation for you here at the end.
Alright, on the drag technique, you got to turn your machine up enough where the wire keep up with the puddle. I don't ever point my tungsten forward, either dead at it or maybe just a little back like that, and keep that wire in that hot puddle. And I'm just steady pointing that tungsten up in a forward motion the whole time. We're keeping pressure on the wire in that hot puddle all the way up, just simply dragging it.
Alright, final one, number 4. This method is called the dip method for the obvious reason it's more of a dip technique with the wire and the puddle. We did turn the machine down about 10 amps to 155. Turned it back down for this method, and as you can see here, it turned out pretty good. This is the best looking one in my opinion. Just to touch on the school a little bit, we wanted you to know that our school is owner operated by a U.S. Navy veteran, and it makes a big difference. There's a lot more quality than quantity in this school. Most schools, you'll never see the owner, or there are 2 or 3 owners, and they have to go through all kinds of red tape to make a change for the better, and there's a lot of rules that don't make sense, but the same guys out there helping teach the class that's writing a mortgage check, it makes a big difference.
I turn it down about 5 or 10 amps than I would the rest. I hold my tungsten a little bit closer to the puddle so it don't spread out as far, and I can keep it consistent. And I just jack it like a 60-10. When I jack it out, I'm just heating it up. When I come back with that tungsten's when I push. That's how you get your stack method. You push. When you push it, it stacks some long ways like that. Just keep it consistent all the way up, and I keep that tungsten pointing straight up like that.